I've seen many caregivers feel that they lack support and often are dealing with their own personal loneliness. And I think a lot of that is attributed, frankly, to the fact that we feel as that we need to be superhuman. We feel as though we've got to get the groceries and cook the food and, oh, by the way, make sure that they have their food pureed and whatever is necessary to make sure that they are comfortable. And so what we often find is that people just extend themselves too much and don't take care of themselves. So it is an opportunity, frankly, to embrace that we need others. And sometimes that's hard.
Making that list of all the different tasks or jobs or responsibilities you have can seem overwhelming, but the next step is thinking about possible resources. Who are the people, neighbors, church members, relatives? They may be able to contribute very little or they may be able to contribute a lot. But thinking of people, thinking of programs, you then can start to realize you're not alone. You're part of a fellowship, and the support of others can provide important resources that mean many of those tasks get accomplished, but not all by you.
You know, the Who Might Help You is amazing because it helps to identify who's out there that can help. And you know, Ricardo, sometimes it's so hard to ask for help, you know. I had a participant who, she was a caregiver for her husband who was a doctor, and she used to doing everything for him. But now he's sick, and so it's a lot harder because there's a lot more that needs to be done. So when we were doing the workbook, and I asked her, did she have any children? And she said, my son. And I said, have you talked to your son about helping? She goes, no, I never even thought to ask him. So she ended up asking the son, who not only took part in helping, but he also brought other family members in to help. It's just good to know you're not alone. You know, there's people in the community, there's people that are neighbors, you know. If you go to a church, you know, there's probably, or in a choir or something like that, those people, they know you, they've known you for years, and they're going to want to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
You know, Miss Mary, you're absolutely right. There's been a few families that I've worked with or participants, and for some reason, they have taken the load on of caring for their loved ones. And they have this thing where they don't see themselves as a caregiver, but they feel like they need to take care of their loved ones on their own. And so by presenting this form, they realize that, hey, that it's okay to ask for help, that it's okay to ask in their circle for simple tasks, sometimes even complicated tasks, or even really complicated tasks, right? So simple tasks can be something as simple as, you know, making a phone call, talking to them, reading a book, taking them to a doctor's appointment, making a meal. And something that's a little bit more complicated, you know, maybe out of their range, would be maybe some wound care, some IV therapy. So those will be kind of diverted over to like a organization, for a nursing organization. So having that really relieves a lot of that pressure that a lot of these folks are under when they're caregivers.
While we know caregiving can be very challenging, we find that caregivers know what needs to be done. But the challenge often becomes, how do you do it? How do you gather all the information? How do you organize yourself in ways that really can make this a easier journey? Because the truth is, it is never easy.
So the workbook has begun with all the tasks, all the possible helpers, but now how do you do it? How do you actually ask for help? And what do you do when things go wrong? Because they will go wrong. And the third part of the workbook here actually provides ways that you can think through and plan how to ask for help, how to straighten out problems when they arrive, with specific suggestions step by step.
You know, Ricardo, caregiving is so difficult. I mean, there's so many different emotions that you have to go through, so many decisions that need to be made. So I'm so excited that there's a tool that can help caregivers, especially with asking for support and help. Sometimes you feel so isolated as a caregiver. The last thing you want to do is involve someone else. But there's a great tool out there, and that tool is asking for support and help, where the caregiver can put their ideas on paper. They could use a worksheet, so that way they could use that as a guide as they look for the solutions that they need.
You know, Trevino, I'm really glad you bring this up, because there's a lot of challenges with with being a caregiver. And this tool really helps to pre-plan ways to ask for support and actually help too.
You know, you mentioned pre-plan. When you look at the workbook, it actually gives them an opportunity to use a worksheet. And the first section on the worksheet is knowing who to call. So I need to know who to talk to. So I'm thinking of a situation where we use this with a participant. They had the caregiver was helping a participant who needed medication, and they were down to their last 2 pills.
Wow.
And she really needed her medication, but the caregiver was doing a million other tasks. So this worksheet was able to help her start with the who. Who am I supposed to call? Who are the main people that are involved?
Wow.
So she was able to identify with this worksheet that the doctor was a person she needed to contact, the pharmacy could be a possibility, and that just gave her a great start where she needed to go with the worksheet.
You know, as far as what the caregiver can write down, what the situation is. And here in this situation, it's that she's down to her last 2 pills,
Right.
and she really needs this medication. So it can be very detrimental for her. So it'll give her the bird's eye view as to what's going on so that she doesn't forget and hone in on to what her goal is.
Right. And when you look at the worksheet, so you got the who, you got the what, and then there's the why. Knowing what your conversation is about before you call, because one thing we know, you call the pharmacy, you call the doctor, sometimes you only have 2 seconds. And when you get them on the line, they want to know exactly what you're calling for. So she was able to put down her conversation purpose ahead of time. And she was able to write it down and know, and she even referred to it. She said, Trevino, I looked at it when I was calling the pharmacy, so she knew exactly why she was calling. And not only saved her time, but it helped her with her confidence also.
So that takes us down to the how, how we're going to execute this. And so when we go to execute this, we got to be able to prepare ourselves. And so with the caregiver, she was able to write down her thoughts, her ideas on how to approach maybe physicians, maybe the pharmacy. And so with that, she can actually practice and build that confidence to make those calls and to actually achieve and get her medications. So with this scenario, it's great because she was able to build that confidence, was able to call the pharmacy, the doctor's office, and also the insurance. And lo and behold, the next day she had her medication. So it was such an empowering story.
Well, empowering story, empowering tool, because now she had a blueprint and she said, now I can use this for other areas that I'm helping the participant. So it gave her the confidence to know I can call the doctor and the pharmacy. I can have a plan when I call, but I also now have a blueprint for if I need to do some scheduling, if I need to help with meals or other situations that may arise out of nowhere with the participant. So now the person said, hey, this is user friendly. This is something that I can use and I can see myself using in the future. So she actually took the book. And when she took the book, she took it and she got the folder and put it up under her arm. And she felt really good about the book. So that was exciting to see.
Oh, I love that. I love that. A roadmap for other things that she can use in the future.
Caregivers, we want you to know that you are never alone. We recognize that caregiving can be a very hard and challenging task. And so we want you to know that there are resources through our Workbook for Caregivers that can assist you in focusing on building a fellowship, building a network, and recognizing that you are never in this journey alone. So I think we'd agree that caregiving is challenging, but we want you to know that it's important to take care of yourself. And so the next section of our workbook is focused on how you take good care of yourself.